All right, thank you. Welcome to the live stream. I had to adjust some internet connection issues, but we're here and we're talking about the Diocese of Cleveland. How there's a bad seminary in the Diocese of Cleveland, and so I just want to go through the story. It was broken by the pillar, and there were three former seminarians who say they were harassed and manipulated in 2019 by Cleveland priest Father James Cosgrove. The former seminarian Nick Grismer told The Pillar that in June and July 2019, Cosgrove pressured him into skinny dipping at the seminary swimming pool and at a lake house owned by a diocesan priest. Oh, a lake house owned by a diocesan priest. Where have we heard that before? Cosgrove also took nude photographs without his consent, Grismer alleged. He said the priest exploited their close relationship and trust, encouraging him to drink heavily even when he knew that Grismer struggled with alcohol abuse. On one occasion, the seminarian got so drunk that the priest says he cannot recall with the priest, but the seminarian said he cannot recall what happened. When urging him to skinny dip, Cosgrove would tell Grismer to be free with God or be naked before God, the former seminarian claimed. And Cosgrove was not assigned to the seminary. Priest Father Cosgrove was not assigned to the seminary, but he was often there in the summer, overseeing a program for high schoolers. And so, as you can see, this is another instance of a bad seminary. I'm not reading this off just for fun. I'm reading this. I think it's important for us to understand exactly how this happens, why this happens, and what happens. Because if we could just say, oh, it's a bad seminary, then what can they say? Oh, we cleaned it up. Okay, well, let's look at the details and see what the diocese has done. So, Grismer alleges that Father Cosgrove took photographs and videos of him while he was unclothed, even after the priest explicitly told him to stop. Or even after he told the priest explicitly to stop. Sorry. He said that the priest claimed he was joking, took photos or videos on at least two occasions. Cosgrove also tried to convince him to sleep for the night next to him in the house's living room before they had put their clothes back on. Okay. Two additional former seminarians, both who have requested anonymity, said they were also pressured to swim naked with Cosgrove in the summer of 2019. One former seminarian says that while the priest's pressure was relentless, he rebuffed the advances. The other said that because of pressure from Cosgrove, the priest's spiritual manipulation, he eventually agreed to skinny dipping with the priest. The former seminarian told the Pillar that the priest took him to the same lake house where Grismer had gone, and that there were a good amount of drinks before they swam naked together in Lake Erie. And just a few quotes here. We had this one theme in the seminary called masculine vulnerability, one of the former seminarians said. And he was using it to spiritually manipulate people. He was using the ideas of masculine vulnerability, detachment from the world, and freedom to lure people into going skinny dipping. As weird as it is to admit this, I kind of bought it. I thought maybe I was just being a stick in the mud, and maybe he's right, because he's speaking from some sort of authority. All right, so I'm going to take a break from the article here, but what I'm looking at here is manipulation, and we can talk like there's other words for it. I don't know if gaslighting is an appropriate term or not, but I think in this situation, it's the like whenever you put your trust in someone, say like a priest or even just anyone, like they're a trusted person, so you're going to trust their word for it. You may or may not have. Oh man, connection's unstable. All right, let's see what happens here. Looks like YouTube's reconnecting. Can you see? Leave a comment if you can see me and if you can see what I'm saying right now, because I have a message here on YouTube that says my connection's unstable. We can see here you just fine. Okay, so, all right. So I don't know what this message is from YouTube. Thank you, RR. Okay. So anyway, whenever you like put your trust in someone, like say like you have a good traditional priest who you rely on for advice. Okay, these seminarians, they have their diocesan um, advisors or whatever, and the spiritual directors and everything. What if you have a spiritual director who is LMNOP, who is attracted to men? Um, and how do you know that? Like, if you're assigned a spiritual director, how do you know that they're attracted to men? You don't, probably not at first, and then as they build trust, it's a cycle of manipulation. And as we know, this event took place. It says in 2019. Um, And 2019 was following 2018 McCarrick scandal. The 2018 reports, just down the road from Cleveland, the 2018 Pennsylvania grand jury report. Neighboring dioceses of Cleveland had a whole bunch of details of this type of uh, harassment that had gone on, and worse things than that. So you can see, like, how do we prevent this type of manipulation from occurring? And I think, I mean, I don't know. I guess one way would be to avoid a diocesan seminary. That would be a good idea. I'll talk about that at the end. So I'm going to continue here. In December 2019, two of the former seminarians reported the incidents to the Cleveland Diocesan Vocations Director. This was when Archbishop Perez was bishop. He left the Diocese of Cleveland for Philadelphia in January of 2020. They said a private investigator, the diocese, I guess, or they, no, the seminarians. The seminarians said a private investigator, a permanent deacon and retired police officer, was contacted by the diocese to look into the matter. Third former seminarian said that while he did not initially report what happened to him, he was contacted by the investigator in October of 2020 and disclosed his experience. The diocese did not comment on that allegation, and to their surprise, the former seminarians told the Pillar the diocese did not formally respond to their allegations or seem to censure the priest. Okay. Instead, nearly a year after their report at the Mass offered November 29, 2020, Cosgrove announced to his parish that he would take a medical leave of absence. He said that told the parish he had been struggling with issues surrounding depression and anxiety. Neither the priest nor seminarians nor lay Catholics in the diocese were informed of allegations of coercion, and Grismer alleges that the priest returned from leave and he was permitted to resume his practice of using the gym at Cleveland's Seminary campus. Cosgrove had reportedly retained a key to the seminary, and he had first got the seminarian had first gotten to know Cosgrove in the seminary gym and thought the current seminarians might similarly befriend the priest, and targeted without intervention from the seminary. Cosgrove might have violated the seal of confession in 2019, disclosing former seminarian sins to a member of the seminary faculty. Grismer, one former seminarian, told the Pillar they were called last month by Father Daniel Schlegel, the diocesan vicar for clergy, who apologized for what they had experienced, but they said while Schlegel offered money for counseling and vague apologies, they did not respond to requests. The diocese publicly acknowledged that Cosgrove had been accused of sexual misconduct. So it seems like the diocese is trying to just sweep this under the rug. And it spans two bishops, because there was a new bishop appointed in, was it May? It might have been May 2020. And so while this was ongoing, Archbishop Perez was happy to get out of there. No wonder. And it doesn't seem like Archbishop Perez really did a whole lot when this information was reported to him. And earlier this month, the priest of the diocese was notified that Cosgrove had resigned from ministry. Okay. Former seminarian Grismer said the situation was consistent with other problems he experienced in the seminary. He charged the seminary director, Father Mark, Mark Latkovich was negligent in allowing Koster access to the seminary even after serious complaints had been made about his conduct. And Cleveland Seminaries, St. Charles Borromeo and St. Mary's, which both share a campus and a rector, uh, Latkovich faced criticism in recent years after the 2019 arrest of Cleveland priest Father Robert McWilliams, who will be sentenced next month for federal child trafficking and abuse crimes to which he has already pled guilty. So it seems like they have a lot of problems, and they're more than happy to just kind of sweep them under the rug, or just get rid of everything that they can, all the information, cover it up. And I think, just getting back to a practical level, Father Mark Goring talked about this. Bad seminaries. I remember before he deleted all his videos, before his superior told him to shut everything down, he said he was saying about how seminaries need to be investigated. I agree with that. And he said that if you, like fathers, if your son is entering the seminary, you need to go to the bishop. You need to tell him, make sure there is no harassment of my son in the seminary, or you're going to pay for it. And I'm not into threats. Uh, However, it does appear that there is a lot of manipulation going on. There's a lot of homosexual harassment, and it's very concerning, right? I mean, are you not concerned about this? And so, I don't know. I mean, I can't tell people what to do, but it seems like the diocesan seminary route is a bad idea. It seems like you need to enter a religious order and go through traditional seminary. And if you can't do that, then don't go to a seminary, because, as we can see, I mean, not really anyone thinks that Cleveland is a bad seminary until this came out. But then, how many other bad seminaries are there? You know, how many other spiritual directors are completely compromised? And I think Church Militant did an investigation in the Buffalo Seminary, and eventually Bishop Malone resigned. And without this information being public, that seminary would still be open, and the seminary rectors would still be doing their crazy stuff that they were doing. With as far as the manipulation, do you think seminarians should have like a second spiritual director? And so, do you think they should have like a independent spiritual director, like independent of the diocese, where they know a priest, and maybe he's from a religious order, or maybe he's from a different diocese. He has no vested interest in the diocese that they're going to, or the seminary that they're going through. Do you think that would help? Because then they could run stuff by and like, oh, is it appropriate that this priest was doing this stuff? You know, is it appropriate that the priest was saying these things? And then they could also report back to this spiritual director and say, hey, today we learned in the seminary about von Balthasar and his contribution to, the Vatican II theology. And then the spiritual director, if it's a good spiritual director, he would say, well, we probably need to get out of there because they're not teaching you anything Catholic. Okay, so RR, I think the biggest problem is the attitude the hierarchy has that all the sexual sin is fine if it is consensual. They only care about the legal status. Well, that was something that Cardinal Supich um, basically, that was basically what he presented at the 2018 November USCCB meeting, where he wanted to distinguish between consensual activity between adults or minors. And he said, like, we should distinguish between that. Well, because if you look at it, then McCarrick wouldn't have been guilty of a lot of stuff, right? Because it's consenting adults, even if there's manipulation going on. I'm talking about a beach house, um, and are this like are the seminarians going to prove sexual assault? They say that it was unwanted, but that was something that happened. So how can you actually prove that? But then at the same time, I think we just need to distinguish if the priest or bishop or in the McCarrick's case cardinal, if any of them violate their vow of celibacy, they get kicked out or at least suspended. Um, I don't see a problem with that. I've been saying that for a while because I think we need to have standards, And right now, there's no standards whatsoever, and that's very apparent in Cleveland. But not exclusively Cleveland though. There's other places, many other places too, that have no standards for clergy. I mean, are they going to have a girlfriend or a boyfriend on the side? Um, that's okay. It seems like, or it seems like as long as they keep it under the radar, that's fine. Maybe they can find an indigenous-looking person who can tell them that being sexually assaulted is against their culture, and that enculturation requires that seminaries actually believe the faith. Maybe that's a solution. But what do you think? I think there needs to be a full-on investigation in the seminaries. It's been long overdue, and I've been talking about it for a while. We need someone to do some investigations. I don't know. I don't have the resources for it. Hopefully, someone could at some point. But also, these bishops need to be accountable. They need to have accountability. And what does it come to? Like when their sons are basically like, oh yeah, or their sons are told, not the sons, the father. So these fathers, I guess, is what Father Mark Gordon was pointing out. The fathers of the seminarians, are they gonna are they gonna make the bishop accountable for the actions of what happens in the seminaries? I don't know. I mean, they should, because that's their sons, and if their sons are just getting harassed and they're being told, "Oh, this is confidential," no, it's not, and nothing should really be confidential except confession, because that's where we've come to at this point. We've come to the point where seminarians are being manipulated by um, men who are attracted to other men, and that's disgusting. And these people are being trusted, and then these seminarians are losing their vocation because they're being harassed by homosexuals, and it's horrifying, and actually it's terrible for them because they had a vocation and now they lost it thanks to these corrupt individuals who have um, for whatever crazy reason made it through seminary, made it through all the diocesan processes, and even if there's reports, the bishops are like, well, whatever. No, it's not whatever. I mean, yeah, you lose a priest, but are you going to lose the lawsuit? Is it worth it? No, it's not, and I don't know why they don't get it. But maybe they themselves are compromised because they support these actions. I don't know. It's a possibility. Anyway, that's all I have for this story today. So thank you so much for watching. We are the laity, and we will not be silent.